It's a raccoon with a talk show slinging culture facts you might not know. From the biggest flops to the greatest hits, this is Trash Can Tidbits.
Happy holidays again, everyone. I'm your host, Beaton, and welcome back to Trash Can Tidbits. I hope everyone is staying safe and yet managing to enjoy the holidays. Welcome to my own home, and this, you can clearly see, is my tree. It's not much, but it's good for me. Now, last week I asked the question, true or false? Sherlock Holmes' voice is that of the actor most associated with the role, Basil Rathbone. The answer is, believe it or not, true. Even though Rathbone died in 1967 and The Great Mouse Detective was released in 1986, the voice clip that was used of Rathbone as Sherlock Holmes was not actually taken from one of his many films. Instead, the production used Rathbone's reading of Arthur Conan Doyle's The Red-Headed League, which was recorded a few months before his death. Even though his voice is heard very briefly, it's nice to see the filmmakers adding an extra layer of authenticity to the Sherlock Holmes universe. Now, with that out of the way, this week is Christmas! I bring gifts for you, meaning I'm actually going to be presenting 10 more Christmas movie facts for you. Some of them will be provided to you through social media. I hope you enjoy this list. Now pull up a chair and a cup of hot chocolate, and let's get started with fact number 1. Fact number 1, in fact, comes from Beast Boy on Fur Affinity. Did you know that a classic Barbra Streisand song was originally going to be featured in a Mr. Magoo cartoon? Songwriters Bob Merrill and Julie Stein wrote the songs for Mr. Magoo's Christmas Carol, and one song that ended up not being used was a song called People. Merrill and Stein would go on to write the songs for a Broadway musical and eventual film called Funny Girl, which featured a relatively young newcomer named Barbra Streisand, and the song was instead written for her. The song and film was a hit, and People would become Streisand's signature song in the process. You know, after this revelation that People was originally written for Mr. Magoo, one can only wonder how the song's success would have panned out if he sang it instead of Barbra Streisand. Thanks for that fact, Beastie. Fact 2. Did you know that Home Alone was shot entirely in Chicago? It was a custom of John Hughes Productions to film in and around real locations in the Windy City. For example, all scenes that took place in Paris's Orly Airport was actually shot at Chicago's O'Hare Airport, which also served as the airport the McAllister family runs through to get to their plane. Hughes' movie studio was actually an abandoned high school building where all the interiors were built, such as the inside of the house, which was actually built in the school's gymnasium. Even the set of the flooded basement that Kevin runs through was shot in the school's swimming pool. The school was also known as being the location where The Breakfast Club was filmed. Fact 3. Did you know that the original airing of Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer did not include the fate of the Misfit Toys? The scene of Rudolph, Santa, and the reindeer going back to the island of Misfit Toys was only added in after the producers got piles and piles of letters from children that wondered what happened to the toys. Realizing they left a crucial part of the story out, the ending scene of Rudolph coming back to the island and finding homes for the toys was photographed later and is now included in the final film. Fact 4. Did you know that the reason that all of the Charlie Brown cartoons had the character's name in them was because Charles Schulz actually hated the name Peanuts? Schulz wanted to call the comic strip Good Old Charlie Brown, but the editors didn't want to get lawsuits from people with the real name of Charlie Brown, and subsequently renamed it to Little Folks and then, eventually, Peanuts. Schulz created the characters but didn't have any say in what it would eventually be called. When A Charlie Brown Christmas was made, he insisted that all cartoons and specials have the name Charlie Brown or Snoopy attached to them. The first film property to have the name Peanuts attached to it was The Peanuts Movie, which was released 15 years after Schulz's death. Fact 5. Did you know that It's a Wonderful Life won a technical Oscar for the creation of a new kind of movie snow? Prior to that, movie snow was usually made by cornflakes painted white, which would obviously be heard crunching loudly on camera. Frank Capra's previous film, Lost Horizon, was built inside of a giant freezer so that the actors' breaths would show on camera. But because the film was shot during a major summer heat wave and the film's main plot takes place during winter, a new kind of snow had to be made, and it was made from a combination of firefighting foam, soap, and water. It was the first of its kind, and gave the film an extra sense of authenticity. It was also much more quieter on camera. Capra and his crew at RKO were awarded a scientific and technical Oscar for its achievement. Fact 6 comes from my friend on Telegram, the Poetry Ninja. Did you know that the movie Jingle All the Way was the largest film production ever filmed in Minnesota? Ninja says that a lot of the locations are within his neck of the woods, including the street where the parade route takes place at the end of the film. But besides that, 2 locations have stayed the same since the filming took place. First being the building where Arnold Schwarzenegger dukes it out with various fake Santas was a warehouse at one time, but has now been turned into a location for events such as weddings, parties, and even other films. The second location was the diner where Arnold and Sinbad heard about the Turbo Man figure on a radio station, which is called Mickey's Diner. It's the only location in Minneapolis to be registered as a historic place. Thanks for sharing that fact with me, Ninja. I think it's cool that you live in a city where such an iconic Christmas movie was filmed. Fact 7. Going back to It's a Wonderful Life, did you know that the story originated from a Christmas card? Author Philip Van Doren Stern wrote a short story called The Greatest Gift, which was rejected by over 20 publishers before finally giving up. He ended up printing up 200 copies of the story and mailed each one of them to various family and friends as a Christmas card. As fate would have it, the story ended up in the hands of David Hempstead, a producer at RKO Pictures who ended up showing the story to actor Cary Grant, who was looking for a holiday movie to star in. RKO eventually passed the story along to director Frank Capra, and Grant later starred in his own classic Christmas movie, The Bishop's Wife. Fact 8. Did you know that Bing Crosby sang the song White Christmas in 2 different films? He first sang the song on screen in the 1942 film Holiday Inn, where it won an Oscar, and would of course sing it again in the treasured classic White Christmas in 1954. Ironically, although it's his signature song, having sung it hundreds of times on radio and later TV specials, Bing thought little of his role in the song's success. Nevertheless, he became associated with the tune for the rest of his life. Fact 9. Did you know that the production of Elf was able to get away with filming the North Pole sequences in the style of Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer fairly easily? This is due to an accidental error in the copyright message in Rudolph's title sequence. The Roman numerals that appear on the screen to note the copyright year is MCLXIV, when it should be MCMLXIV. The film was released in 1964, and the number on the copyright message accidentally reads 1164. So that means technically Rudolph is in the public domain. Whoops. Fact 10. Did you know that the original Miracle on 34th Street was actually released in the summer of 1947? Producer Daryl Zanuck was under the impression that more people went to the movies during the summer, which is pretty much true these days, and did not market the film as a Christmas movie to keep the plot a surprise. As such, trailers for this movie did not mention Christmas at all, nor the fact that Ed McGuinn was playing Santa Claus. The tactic worked. The film was released in May and was a huge success, and it was in theaters all the way until Christmas and beyond. And here's this week's trivia question. Most early Disney films actually did not credit the voice actors for their work because Disney wanted to keep the voices a secret and not ruin the illusion. There were some exceptions though. Jiminy Cricket from Pinocchio was the first character to have a celebrity voice actor, that being Cliff Edwards, a popular radio and film actor at the time. It wouldn't be until Alice in Wonderland was released, which was the first animated film to credit the voice actors and which characters they play. Other films throughout that time would only credit the voice actors but not name the characters. My question to you is, Alice in Wonderland was the first Disney film to give credit to the voice actors and the characters. What was the second? And there we go for this week. I really hope you all have a Merry Christmas and Happy Holidays. No matter what you celebrate or who you celebrate it with, I think we all have something to be thankful for this year, despite all that's happened. Stay safe out there, everyone. And please don't forget to like, subscribe, share, and ring the bell for future video notifications. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.